580 Sports Talk coming at you on a Friday. It's not a red Friday. The Chiefs don't play until Monday, but it's still a football Friday, a fun Friday, a beautiful fall Friday in the capital city of Kansas. And we're so glad you're with us on 580 Sports Talk and 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com. And a special hello to those of you watching our mouths make these words on our video stream. Brendan's leaning in today to the video camera. We are live on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. We are live on Facebook. The page is WIBW News. I am Dan Lucero. Brendan Dworzynski is here. Spencer Dupuis will be along in a bit. It's going to be another day. This is crossover season, folks. You just have to understand that we've got a shape-shifting cast as we go along for a few weeks here. Like end of October, first couple of weeks in November. This is just how it is because we're all running around. We all got places to be. Brendan, your place to be is Allen Fieldhouse tonight.
Yeah, I mean, there are worse places to be, admittedly.
True. Yeah.
Pretty psyched about that. But yeah, we've got more Washburn exhibition basketball tonight. The Washburn women taking on the Kansas Jayhawks. So very excited for that matchup coming up tonight. 6:30 tip, 6:15 pregame over on Country 106.9. I'll be there for the call of that one. Very excited about it. And I am certainly not complaining about getting to do what I or we do. But when you have a basketball game in Lawrence on Tuesday, a game in Manhattan on Wednesday, a coach's show here in Topeka on Thursday, then another game in Lawrence tonight, and then football tomorrow here in Topeka, I'm short on time for anything else.
And on Sunday, you reintroduce yourself to your wife.
Yes, although there will be 3 hours where I am also the most miserable person on earth when the Lions hang 48 on the Packers. So,
all right.
That 3 hours I will not be pleasant to be around. But she knows that. That's built into the schedule at this point.
Short on time and short on optimism, our Brendan Dworzynski.
We'll get to more in our Prairie Band picks at 4 o'clock.
So Washburn women's basketball tonight over on our sister station, Country 106.9. We've also got playoff football tonight. The playoffs are underway in the state of Kansas. Our 580 Preps playoff football game of the week is a city matchup, a United Kansas Conference matchup, a Week 3 rematch. Number 3 seed in the 5A West, the Seaman Vikings, taking on the number 14 Topeka West Chargers. We'll start the pregame coverage right at 6 o'clock with the 580 Preps Coaches Club, and then we will get into pregame coverage of the game, the kickoff at 7 from Don Pierce Field at Seaman Stadium. Yours truly on the play-by-play, Greg Akagi on the color, and Spencer Dupuis on the sideline. Spence will be joining us in a bit. He'll have you from 5 to 6 solo. So the roster will change every hour, really, here on 580 Sports Talk. And I will head out at 5. Brendan will head out before that. But we got Sports Talk. We got plenty to get to. Even without the Chiefs having a game on Sunday, we got lots to get to on this Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk. Namely, how do you beat the Chiefs anyway? They're 7-0. Nobody's figured it out. Nobody's done it since the Raiders on Christmas. And that was a classic, the Chiefs beat themselves kind of football game. And yes, it is likely because it's the NFL and this happens that the Chiefs are going to lose a football game at some point this season. Preferably, it doesn't happen in January or February, but at some point along the line, you would think somebody's going to get the upper hand on the Chiefs. But what does that look like? Because the Chiefs have done a lot of things that typically have gotten them beat, and they're still winning. And they've beaten some pretty good teams, and they've beaten rivals, and they've won on the road, and they've won in tough environments, and they've won in prime time. They just keep winning. So what's it going to take? What does it look like to beat the Chiefs at this point? And the counterpoint to that is, what does it look like then when the Chiefs get beat? How do they respond? What are the things that they're going to have to tighten up to make sure that the losses, A, are not frequent, and B, do not occur when the rubber meets the road and the weather gets cold? We'll also preview one game in the Sunflower State this weekend, not in the Sunflower State. It's occurring in Houston. But KU is also off this weekend. K-State is on the road at Houston. And on paper, it looks a little trappy. It looks like it could be a trap game. How do the Wildcats avoid that? We'll discuss a little bit later on. We've also got our Prairie Band Sportsbook 580 Sports Talk Picks Contest. We are all looking for a better showing this week, most especially Brendan, who went 0-5 last week. Again, I can't throw stones. I've been there and done that, and that's how it works. That's
I probably didn't need to pull out the receipts on Monday, but My back was against the wall.
It was a petty move, and honestly, I couldn't do anything but respect it.
The hyenas were closing in.
It comes for us all. That's why, as Jake LeBon was fond of saying, our old friend, that's why those buildings in Vegas are so tall. That's why they got so many floors and windows, because eventually losing in gambling comes for every single one of us. But we have more picks to make today. We'll do that in the 4 o'clock hour. We'll preview week number 9, take a look at some of the more interesting matchups that will be occurring on Sunday while the Chiefs are off until Monday night. Of course, we got our 580 Sports Talk headlines coming up at 5 o'clock. 2 guests today on the program. Bottom of this hour, Matt Derrick joins us, our Chiefs insider from ChiefsDigest.com. We'll get Matt's thoughts on the week that was in the Chiefs' kingdom and a look ahead to Monday night's clash against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And in the 5 o'clock hour, about 5:25, Jeff Mittie, the head coach of the Kansas State women's basketball team, joined me earlier this week. We'll play that conversation for you as I had a chance to talk to the longtime bench boss of the Wildcats, the 13th ranked team in the country in the preseason AP poll, the first time in 20 years that K-State women have been ranked in the preseason. Of course, they are coming off of an exhibition win over Washburn. Their season opener against Green Bay is Monday morning, 11 a.m. tip-off at Bramlage Coliseum. Basketball for brunch.
Breakfast with the Cats.
To open up the season. Of course, you're going to be able to hear that right here on 580 WIBW, pregame at 10:30 on the K-State Sports Network. So we'll get some thoughts from Jeff Mittie. Looking forward to that conversation airing later on in the 5 o'clock hour. You are, as always, invited and encouraged to be part of the conversation here today on 580 Sports Talk. You can text the program, 785-272-9429. That is the Top City Metal Supply text line. No more wasting money on metal pieces that leave you with unnecessary leftovers. Top City Metal Supply will cut exact lengths of aluminum, steel, and stainless steel tailored to your project's specifications. Start optimizing your budget with Top City Metal Supply on South Topeka Boulevard, just north of Forbes Field. Again, the Top City Metal Supply text line is 785-272-9429. If you are watching along on the YouTube live stream, again, welcome to you. We are on 580 Sports Talk. That is the name of the YouTube channel. That is what you search for when you go to YouTube. It will bring up our channel. It will bring up live and archive video from us. And if you are watching the program live today, there's a live chat feature, and we love to see how active the live chat gets throughout the day. Interact with us throughout the show and interact with your fellow listeners as well. You can also leave us comments if you're watching on Facebook, too. If you're catching us on Facebook, our page there is WIBW News.
My favorite fact I learned today, and I can't believe I didn't know this before, while doing my game prep for Washburn versus KU women's hoops, was that Mayberry plays for KU?
Yes.
Were you aware of who her father is?
Is it former Royal John Mayberry?
No, it is former Grizzly and I think Hawk and several Lee Mayberry.
Oh, okay.
Former NBA player. Spent 7 years in the association.
How about that?
Probably my third favorite member of the 96-97 Vancouver Grizzlies. Behind, of course, Big Country Reeves and Sharif Abdur-Rahim.
I would say that Lee Mayberry is below both John Mayberry Jr., who had a moment there.
Yeah.
And Mayberry RFD on my personal Mayberry power rankings.
Where does it go up against Mayberry where Andy Griffith is from?
That's Mayberry RFD, right?
Oh.
Yeah. Well, that's what he's...
Oh, I didn't know that's the full name of it.
Well,
I just know Mayberry.
Maybe I'm wrong. No, it was a spinoff. Maybe RFD was a spinoff.
Oh.
Yeah.
I did not know there was a spinoff.
Yeah, there was a spinoff of the Andy Griffith Show. So yeah, that Mayberry, like Mayberry in general, that's broadly what I'm referring to.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I'm struggling to come up any
let's see.
Any other Mayberries.
We'll do some research here.
There's Mayberry, North Carolina, Mount Airy. That's like the inspiration for Mayberry.
Correct.
Not a lot else. Struggling to find any other notable Mayberries.
There's a song by Rascal Flatts.
Is there?
Yeah, I mean, about being in Mayberry.
Oh, wait. Lauren Mayberry's one of the members of Churches who I really like.
Oh, okay.
She's high on the list.
Sure.
Why that Mayberry's had a very good career.
She's had a very good career.
She's got a solid spot in the Mayberry power ranking.
Sure. She's earned it.
Vance in the YouTube chat asked me, how I could put Mayberry RFD below John Mayberry. John Mayberry once helped me win a pennant on Stratomatic Baseball. Monster year from, I think it was the 75 card of John Mayberry.
I steered us deeply into Friday territory.
Yeah, it
really
is
early
every
in the
bit
show.
of Friday. It was a 75 Mayberry. Yeah, it was the year he had 34 dingers. Yeah, 1975. John Mayberry, 34 home runs, drove in 106, led the league in walks, second in the MVP vote that year. John Mayberry, really good player. 255 career dingers, good player.
Jason in the YouTube comments, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube, offers Mayberry, Nebraska, which appears to be mere inches over the Kansas border.
Okay, man, I was thinking if no, I'm not familiar with Mayberry. I've got it confused with another small town further out west near North Platte, where I lived for a while. Maywood is what I'm thinking of. Yeah,
nice.
All right. Want to talk to football?
we have exhausted this conversation. There will be no returning to this topic.
No, we're gonna get out of Mayberry RFD and jump on into some football. Kansas City Chiefs do not play on Sunday. They play Monday night against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They are aiming for an 8-0 start. They are the only unbeaten team in the National Football League through the first 8 weeks. Only Detroit has fewer than 2 losses along with Kansas City. Detroit is 6-1. Every other team in the league has at least 2 losses to this point. And in the recent past, we've seen the Chiefs lose early in the season. We are not unfamiliar with the idea that the Chiefs would lose. They lost their opener last year to Detroit before they ran off 6 straight wins and started 6-1. 2022, they lost early to the Colts, and they were 5-2 through 7 games. They lost that Colts game in week 3.
What a debacle. Remember what happened in that game? Sky Moore muffing the punt?
Yes.
And we all realized, hey, maybe he's bad at this.
Chris Jones getting a personal foul for saying words to Matt Ryan.
Oh, yeah. Matt Ryan, remember that?
That extended a drive that ended up providing the winning points. Butker was hurt. They had that doofus backup kicker that missed a kick.
Can you remember his name?
Mayberry.
No, Matthew Wright.
More
like Matthew Wrong.
Yeah, no kidding.
Roast his ass.
2021, the Chiefs were 3-4 through 7 games. Remember that? Boy, that year they only made the AFC Championship game. That was a real underachieving bunch of Chiefs. They were 6-1 through 7 back in 2020. I'm just going through the Mahomes era now. They were 5-2 through 7. So, this is the best start of the Patrick Mahomes era. Yeah. They're 7-0, and they have done things in the first 7 games that have at times been hallmarks of early season Chiefs teams of the recent past. Turnovers continue to be an issue for this team. They turn the ball over 11 times in 7 games. They're losing the turnover battle on the year. They are -3 in the turnover battle. They are 28th out of 32 teams in the NFL in turnovers. Penalties have cropped up. There have been games where they took entire quarters off, it felt like the third quarter against the Raiders. Let inferior competition hang around longer than they should have. Had games finish closer than it felt like they should have finished. They have done all of those things in this stretch, and they're 7-0 anyway. So my question to you is this, because we've seen teams fail to beat the Chiefs, and all different kinds of teams. We've seen the Bengals fail to do it. We've seen the Ravens fail to do it. We've seen the 49ers fail to do it. All of those teams, pretty good football teams. I'd even throw Atlanta in that pile. They're not bad. They're 5-3. They certainly look like they could be a playoff team out of that NFC South.
I think they will win that division.
The Chargers are at minimum not atrocious. They don't look like they did last year. They're a better team than they were last year. The Saints are a mess, and the Raiders are the Raiders. But other than that, this has not been a cakewalk to 7-0 either. Good teams, good players, good coaches have all fallen short of being able to beat the Chiefs. So what's it going to take? You look at the roster, you look at the schedule the rest of the way, and there are some potential pitfalls. You've got Tampa Bay and Denver have both played well. Those are the next 2 games. They're both at home. Then you have the trip to Buffalo. There's also another game against the Chargers. There's a trip to Cleveland. There's a trip to Pittsburgh. There's a trip to Denver, and Houston comes to town. 3 of the final 4 games are on the road. Obviously, you've got the short schedule with the Saturday, Wednesday turnaround around Christmas with the home game against Houston, and then going to Pittsburgh on Christmas Day. This is not a schedule that sets up for 17-0 by any stretch. I'm not suggesting that. What I'm asking, Brendan, what does a loss look like for the Chiefs? Because normally we would say, oh, well, they commit a bunch of penalties, or they turn it over 3 times, or they just shut off for a quarter and the game gets away from them. They've done all of those things. They still win. So, like, obviously, beyond like total system failure, like server meltdown, like, yeah, that gets anybody beat. But what do teams have to do to beat the Chiefs? Aside from the Chiefs beating themselves, what do you have to do against this team, and why has it been impossible so far?
So I think the turnovers are a big part of it. You got to steal at least one possession in a game. You have to win the turnover battle by at least one. And is that something you can plan for? No, obviously, but I do think that has to be a part of the equation. And it's part of the equation that every team has been able to, has at least been able to turn the Chiefs over. Now, giving it away yourself, obviously, that becomes problematic against this Chiefs defense, but you need to at least take the ball away one time.
That is the interesting note in this stretch, is that the Chiefs have only lost the turnover battle twice.
Yeah.
They were -2 against Cincinnati. They were -2 against the Chargers.
And that is what we talked about, or what I talked about going into the year, that at some point the turnover luck was going to swing in the Chiefs' favor, just like the injury luck was going to swing the other way. The Chiefs have been very unfortunate in terms of turnover margin the last 2 years. They have been exceptionally fortunate in terms of injury luck. And now both of those have swung back in the other direction, and the Chiefs just keep winning again because they're so good at the intangible stuff. So outside of that, there are 2 things that work in tandem for me on the roadmap to beating the Chiefs. And neither one is easy, obviously, but neither one is impossible either. The first one is you need to dominate third downs offensively. You need to be better converting to first downs on third downs, which frankly means you need to be really good on early downs to set yourself up for third or fourth and short.
And that's been a problem for the Chiefs' opponents this year because they can't run the ball worth a damn. Yep. So they sit in third and medium, third and long, which are naturally harder to convert.
And the Chiefs this year, can you guess where the Chiefs rank in terms of third down defense? Percentage of times their opponents pick up a third down?
So I know they were 9th going into the Raider game, and they were pretty decent against the Raiders. I'm going to say they stayed in the top 10.
Currently sit 12th.
Okay, just outside.
But the Steelers are 0.25% ahead of them for 11. 34.69 compared to 34.94. So yeah, they're right on the fringes of the top 10. That's good. It's not great. It's not impenetrable, but it is still pretty good. So opposing teams, you've got to be good on those downs, which also tells me if you're assuming more often than not, you're ending up in 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, you need to have a good quarterback. You need someone who can make plays on that down. And if we're looking at the schedule the rest of the way, and I know we're more talking hypothetically here than actually, which games are the Chiefs going to lose? But in terms of who's left on the schedule, who are the guys who can make plays for you on third down? I don't know that I would put Baker in there. That's a guy who's more of a wild card than someone you can predictably say you can rely on to get you a 3rd and 5 or a 3rd and 6. So I don't know that I'd put the Bucs in there on Monday night. Josh Allen's obviously that guy. Herbert's that kind of guy. Houston, CJ Stroud, that kind of guy. I sort of think that's it with the quarterbacks that are left. Yeah. Throw in Jameis Winston week 15 because, again, wild card. Like, you cannot predict it. He is just as likely to get you 3rd and 14 as he is to get you 3rd and 1. Like, he's just a complete wild card of a quarterback. There's a reason he's the only quarterback to ever go 30 and 30 in a full season. So those are the only guys I think you can predictably and reliably say are good on downs like that. So that's what you have to be able to do. And you got to cash in the red zone. I'll ask you the same question. Out of 32 teams, where do the Chiefs rank in red zone touchdown percentage?
All right. So they were, the last I looked at this number, they were in like the bottom 5 in the league. And then they've had 2 pretty good games. I'm going to say they've moved closer to the top 20.
They're top 10.
Oh, wow.
They are number 10 in the league.
They've been really good the last 2 weeks is what that tells me.
And frankly, they are closer to 4th than they are to 11th. So it's a real log jam there.
And we had talked about that earlier this week, that's been one of the biggest points of improvement we've seen since the bye for the Chiefs is they've gotten a lot more straightforward in the red zone, and I don't think coincidentally that's led to a lot more success. Just letting Kareem Hunt get behind the big
defense.
Oh, defense.
Chiefs defense.
Yes.
So that's what's top 10.
Okay.
Yes, Chiefs defense. So my point being, if you are an opposing offense, you've got to be able to get in the end zone.
Right.
Again.
Because the Chiefs have improved offensively in the red zone. But yes, defensively, they've been really good. From the very start of the year, they've been really good.
Again, it falls off a cliff when you get, the Jets are over 53%. The Chiefs one spot ahead of them, under 48%. So you need to be able to convert. If you are an opposing team, and I think Buffalo is a good example of this because that's the next really tough team on the schedule. You need to convert your third downs. So you need Josh Allen to be a playmaker.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to be able to get into the end zone, which Buffalo is the team that stands out. That's why everyone is circling this game. Buffalo's got red zone weapons. They've got guys who know how to get open, and they've got guys who can theoretically win jump balls. I'm thinking Shakir and Coleman in that first group, Dawson Knox. Dalton Kincaid's never really been that guy in that second group. You need to be able to do that if you want to beat this Chiefs team. It's not easy, but I think that is the roadmap to getting there. Because if you're punting, even if the Chiefs are just going to go 2 first downs and a punt of their own, that's a lot of opportunity cost that you just wasted because you could not convert. And I think that's what you've got to be able to do. For Buffalo, the toughest part might be the turnover, honestly, because they just don't have the same kinds of playmakers defensively that they've had before. Their defense has still been good. It's been above average, but they don't have the playmakers still. At least not like they used to.
So the one thing that you have to do to beat the Chiefs, to me, that we haven't gotten to yet, that I think teams have gotten better at doing over time, but still there are some flaws. You have to be super aggressive at going for it on 4th down, whether that's 4th and goal, whether that's 4th down if you're in plus territory, or even if you're close to plus territory. Now, that's a harder question given how good the Chiefs' run defense has been. But you remember that Bengals game in week 1? You remember how the first drive of the game ended for Cincinnati? They kicked a 22-yard field goal on 4th and goal from the 4, and they lost that game by a point. Now, maybe they don't get that 4 yards. Maybe, very possible that they don't. But that's you have to be aggressive. You have to coach. You can't coach not to lose to beat a team that is wired to win at the end of the day. So I think all of your points are correct. The other thing I would add is you have to have a coach who's going to be super aggressive. That's why like Brandon Staley was always a more difficult matchup than it felt like it should have been when those Chargers teams would play the Chiefs, because Staley would go for it. And that's why I think Jim Harbaugh will be a difficult matchup over the years, because he won't be afraid to go for it. The coaches that aren't afraid to play for the points instead of playing for the field position, those are the teams that are going to wind up beating the Chiefs. But how many of those are on the schedule? There aren't many, truthfully, with even 10 games left to play. We're going to take our first break here on 580 Sports Talk. When we come back, a quick thought about the K-State-Houston game coming up Saturday, because there's not much to say about this one other than this. Can K-State avoid the trap? That's coming up. Matt Derrick joins us in about 10 minutes. We're just getting started on this Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk. The Kansas State Wildcats take on the Houston Cougars on Saturday at 2:30 in Houston. You can hear it right here on 580 WIBW FM 104.9 pregame from the K-State Sports Network at 12:30, taking you up to the kickoff with Wyatt and Stan at 2:30. The Wildcats are a 12.5-point favorite, according to our friends at Prairie Band Sportsbook in Mayetta.
I don't know what to make of that line. Road game, sure. Conference game, sure. Houston, well coached. Not good, but well coached.
Just beat Utah. Come
this game. Feel like K-State should mop the floor with them.
Yeah.
I feel like this should be a blowout game.
Yeah, like if you isolate it in a vacuum, these two teams playing against each other, I don't care where you put it, Kansas State's the better team.
All right, yeah, collegefootballinsiders.com, 14.6 is their projected margins. They've got K-State 2 points clear of the spread with their projected margin.
And I think it's even bigger with some of the other, with SP Plus and FEI. I think those numbers are even bigger. I can try and dig those up. But the only
I'll pull the SP Plus up.
Yeah, the only concern for me is is this a tired football team? Are they able to push through that barrier and get to the bye week with everything still to play for? SP Plus has 19.4 as the number for K-State.
Yeah.
FPI has K-State by 15 points. So, yeah, like the number feels about right, but the numbers don't measure the fact that K-State's had to play 3 real emotional games in a row, and all of them at night. So can they push past that and take care of business? I think they've just got too much talent. I think they're just a lot better than Houston, and I don't know what Houston's going to do against that K-State offense. So K-State should take care of business, and it shouldn't be a concern, but trap games are called that for a reason. And if you're K-State, you have to avoid it if you want to keep your hopes of going to Arlington alive.
Real quick, in a sentence, let's ask you the same question we just asked for the Chiefs. If there's a roadmap for Houston to beat K-State, what does that look like?
I think it would be explosive plays, probably in the quarterback run game with whoever ends up starting, Donovan Smith or Zion Chris. I think it's going to be Smith. So a lot of explosive plays, because K-State snap for snap's really good on defense, but they are a little prone to the big play, as we saw against Kansas. So it would look like splash plays. It would probably look like K-State turning it over 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say bombs away from the Houston offense, and you've got to be probably at least +2 in turnovers.
I don't think they have enough talent at wide receiver to make the splash plays in the passing game work. So I think K-State wins. I think they probably cover that 12.5. But again, if you're nervous as a K-State fan, I understand the trepidation. But I think this team will be all business. Even if they start slow, I think they'll finish strong. Matt Derrick joins us next, our Chiefs Insider on 580 Sports Talk. We go to Kansas City on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline to chat with Matt Derrick from ChiefsDigest.com. Matt is the Chiefs beat writer at ChiefsDigest.com and our Chiefs insider here on 580 Sports Talk. You can follow him on Twitter at Matt Derrick. And Matt, let's start with the big Chiefs news of the week. Another trade. Joshua Uche is a Kansas City Chief as they add to their pass rush group. How big an impact do you think Uche can make in these next 10 games plus the postseason for the Chiefs?
I mean, I think the potential is there for a pretty decent impact. You look at him over his career. I mean, he's been a slowly developing an emerging contributor. A couple of years ago, he had 11 and a half sacks. And, certainly there's been a downturn with Bill Belichick being gone, and that's, I think, certainly affected his production. But you look at him and you see the type of game that he's got, and he's got a skill set that the Chiefs need. And I think that they don't have somebody that entirely fits that. I mean, even Joe Cullen was asked today if, he could think of anybody he's had, in Kansas City that kind of fit him and would compare to him. And he couldn't come up with a name. I mean, I think he's a little bit of a junior Frank Clark. I mean, not as big, but I think he's got the same kind of bend, similar frame, except for just being a little on the small side. Not probably going to be a stout run defender, but what the Chiefs need is some sack production. So, I think there's a decent chance. I think he's the type that looks like he could very well fit quickly into Steve Spagnuolo's system. And, what they're looking for is to have a guy that could be the number 3 or number 4, maybe even number 5 guy, because they expect to have Minihue coming back, and you got Felix as well. But that's, what the Chiefs would like to think is their 5-man rotation going into the postseason if they can keep everybody healthy. And I think that would be a group with a pretty good diverse skill set, because I think Uche is going to fit in really well.
All right, Matt, put on your Steve Spagnuolo hat for a moment. It's 3rd down, 3rd and 8, obvious pass rush situation. Who are your 4 linemen for the Chiefs? What do you think is their best when everybody's healthy? So let's assume everybody is healthy. Mike Dana's back. Charles Omenihu has returned from injury. So we're talking round 1 or round 2, if the Chiefs get the bye, of the postseason. What does the best 4 look like up front in a pass rush situation for the Chiefs?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that. And because I instantly think there's probably like 5 guys that want to get out there. And then you start thinking about Chris Jones. And I know Chris wants to be on the outside, but I honestly think that their best 4 in a pass rush situation, and down the road, not this week, but down the road when you get everybody back on the field and you get closer to the postseason, I think I would have Karlaftis and Uche on the outside and have Dana and Jones on the inside. You could mix and match a lot of guys. Turk Wharton's had a really good year too, so obviously he could come in. Jones goes outside and takes Uche's spot, and maybe that's a good group, but I kind of would want to get Uche out there in some 3rd down situations. I think he's got the chance and certainly the speed. And you think about that speed on the outside and Jones and his quickness on the inside, Karlaftis and his power on the other side, Dana doing what he does. I think that could be a really formidable group.
Do you think the Chiefs are done adding to their roster, or do you think they might evaluate even after Monday's game against Tampa Bay and then say, okay, we might need an extra guy here or an extra body there and act accordingly?
Yeah, I think the one position that they certainly are still shopping at and looking at and would like to add some depth would be cornerback. And they're not just looking for anybody to come in. They don't really need somebody to compete for the 4th or 5th corner spot. They feel like with, Keith Taylor, even Eric Scott, he's on the practice, one of the guys on the practice squad. They feel like I think that there's guys that they could even sign that could give them depth. That's not what they need. They'd love for somebody if they could get them to compete for maybe the 2nd or the 3rd, cornerback spots. That's really what they'd like to have. And a veteran would fit in nicely, with so many young guys. So that's what I think they'd love to get. The catch is that right now that's not on the market. Nobody's available that fits, the skill set that the Chiefs need, the cost that the Chiefs can afford, both cap wise and draft pick wise. So that's why I do think this week can change things, because if another couple of teams drop out, then it could open things up. And I had one of my colleagues here in town, brought it up to me because they saw that someone else mentioned it. I can't remember who brought it up, but said, hey, if the Dolphins lose this week, could Kendall Fuller be available? That might actually be the kind of guy that the Chiefs would be interested in. So you can see how this weekend, hey, if the right teams lose, and now they're thinking, let's be sellers, and we're not going to try and make a playoff run. Let's go ahead and try and get some draft picks. That maybe there will be a corner that fits what the Chiefs want out there.
Matt Derrick covers the Kansas City Chiefs for ChiefsDigest.com. He joins us here on 580 Sports Talk via the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline every single Friday at this time to talk all things Kansas City Chiefs. Head over to ChiefsDigest.com to check out his work and follow him on Twitter at Matt Derrick. Matt, I've been working on this theory over the course of the week that the Chiefs feel like they are in a need to go for it kind of mode, not because they're going to have to tear down or rebuild or anything, but Travis Kelce is older. Chris Jones is older. Joe Thuney is older, and you got to figure out what you're going to do with him long term. Don't know what the Trey Smith situation is going to look like. You have to get a deal done with Nick Bolton. You've got plenty of young players in the core, but you've also got some older guys you need to figure out. So I have this working belief that the Chiefs are signing a big name like DeAndre Hopkins or going out and getting a legitimate name like Joshua Uche because they feel like maybe this is the last best chance for a year or two. Do you think there's anything to that given the age of some of the key contributors on the roster?
It could be with some of the guys. I mean, it could certainly be, hey, this might be the last chance to get Travis a ring in the situation where he's going to be a key player still. But I will say, I mean, I think it has more to do, all the moves made more to do with a three-peat, because going back even before last year, the last Super Bowl, when kind of posing the what if question to guys behind and people behind the scene, what if you beat the 49ers and you won back-to-back Super Bowls? What do you do after that? And the answer was pretty much, universal. Anything to get three in a row. I mean, everybody in that building gets the history, the importance, the significance of winning three in a row and what it means for everybody. You win three in a row. How many guys on this team and in this organization do you think are going to the Hall of Fame? I mean, it's not just Mahomes and Kelce and maybe a Chris Jones. I mean, Andy Reid. But Brett Veach is GM of three teams in a row. He's going to the Hall of Fame. I mean, that's just how it is. I mean, the Clark Hunt's going to the Hall of Fame. I mean, it's eventually going to take up a whole bunch of people and drag them into the Hall of Fame one day. So they get it. I mean, I think that's behind everything that they've done this year. And at the same time, I'll give them credit. I don't think that they have done it with, mortgaging the future either, because, they've done a really, good job of trying to hold on to the first, second, and the 2/3 that they have next year, because I think those are going to be significant draft picks. So I mean, I do think that they're absolutely all in three-peat mode, but at the same time, I don't think that they're mortgaging the future either.
All right, Matt, let's pivot to Monday Night Football. The Chiefs and the Buccaneers, second time already this year that Monday Night Football has been to Arrowhead Stadium for a game against an NFC South team. It's very, very strange how the schedule shook out for the Chiefs and on prime time this year. But it's the Chiefs and the Buccaneers on Monday night. As you look at this matchup, what is the one thing that you think is of the biggest concern? The one thing that the Chiefs are really going to have to watch out for on Monday night?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it is the Buccaneers' offense. I mean, because I think it's really easy to overlook them without Mike Evans, without Chris Godwin, and to say this is just a decimated team. But Baker Mayfield's having a really good year. I think he's done a really good job. Even last week, I mean, I think he did a good job with the talent around him. And Cade Otton had a good week last week. That's been a problem for the Chiefs, guarding some tight ends as good as they did last week against Brock Bowers in the second half. That's still been a problem that you need to keep an eye on. So, yeah, I mean, that to me would just be not underestimating the Buccaneers offense, because I don't think the Buccaneers defense, I don't think they're going to be able to put up much of a fight. But the Buccaneers offense, even with those guys out, I mean, I think that they know what to do. And Baker Mayfield can be a problem for a lot of teams.
How about the advantages for the Chiefs? What do you see as maybe their great advantage? I think you kind of alluded to it there, that this Buccaneers defense may not be able to put up much resistance. What thing do you think the Chiefs will do well, particularly against that defense?
Yeah, I mean, it's, that defense is like wearing 29th in the league in passing, and, and this is an opportunity for the Chiefs offense to get well. And it's definitely an opportunity for the passing game to kind of figure out what they've got. Take a few more, chances with DeAndre Hopkins and get some shots towards him to get him involved, expand his role in his package a little bit more, get him and Kelsey on the same field at the same time together to let them work off of each other. The one thing that you'd like to see more and see how it works, because I think it worked really well last week. And some of the coaches that we had, today on the podium kind of alluded to this, which is that, DeAndre Hopkins, he knows everything. I mean, he's seen everything. And so, he knows where the routes going to be run, but he also understands how to adjust a route based on coverages and what he's seeing and the minutest of moves. And who else understands that? Patrick Mahomes. So, hey, if they learn very quickly to see things the same way, and this Buccaneers game, I think it's going to be a good opportunity for them to kind of do that and, and make sure and see if they do kind of see coverages and adjustments the same way. If that's the case, DeAndre Hopkins is going to be able to just start finding open spaces in zones all over the place. And if that's the case, then you can kind of really affect the way that teams are playing the Chiefs defensively. I mean, that kind of thing could have a long-term effect. So I'm really intrigued to see how the Chiefs kind of work DeAndre Hopkins into the offense this week and really attack that Buccaneers defense, because that is absolutely the weakness of their team.
Matt, do you have any worries about going up against Baker Mayfield? Not that he's, a Hall of Fame MVP kind of quarterback, but he is a little bit of a wild card who does have a propensity to sometimes just go nuclear hot. Does going up against a quarterback like that worry you at all if you're the Chiefs defense?
I mean, I think you got to be worried just because you're exactly right. I mean, Baker he's an athletic guy. I mean, he can move in the pocket. There's a lot of things that he can do. He has no fear. I mean, he's a gunslinger. And on top of that, I think he's going to be well motivated for this game. How can he not? I mean, given the, how far he and Mahomes go back and going back to the Texas Tech quarterback room and, his transferring to Oklahoma, I think that, hey, it's got to have, there's got to be some rivalry there. And I think that rivalry motivation is going to be a lot stronger for Baker than it will be for Mahomes. But you nailed it. I mean, he is a wild card. You don't know. He can go out there and he can struggle, but, he's been playing really, really good football this year. And I think you got to watch out for him, because a guy like that with nothing to lose can really wreak some damage.
All right. Last question for you, Matt. Did the Chiefs win on Monday night?
Yeah, I think they do. I mean, I'm still afraid to take them to blow anybody out. And this is another one of those games where even though the Buccaneers are, shorthanded, they're going to give the Chiefs their best shot. This is their chance to put themselves on the map. They're going to do everything they can. But I do think the Chiefs are just the stronger team. They pull it out. Maybe it's 27-10 late, and there's a touchdown to make it closer. So I'm going with the Chiefs 27-17.
Matt Derrick will have it all covered for ChiefsDigest.com. Make sure you're reading him. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at Matt Derrick. He joins us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline every Friday for our Chiefs Insider segment. Matt, always a pleasure. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds great, Dan. Take care, my friends.
That is Matt Derrick. We will take a break, come back, wrap up this first hour of 580 Sports Talk after this. Wrapping up this 3 o'clock hour with a quick game of Change My Mind here on 580 Sports Talk. Brendan, change my mind. The Texans are in trouble.
No, I will not change your mind. I think they're in extreme trouble right now. I think C.J. Stroud has been mostly good, but has also found some areas where he's struggling. I think it is hard for them that they have now lost 2 of their top 3 receivers, and that's a bottom 3 offensive line in the NFL. I mean, he's getting his ass kicked every single game. He got sacked 8 times yesterday. Laramie Tunsil went from above average starting tackle to borderline unplayable in one offseason.
That dude is a turnstile.
And he's also leading the NFL in penalties committed. So no, I am not going to change your mind. I think they are in legitimate trouble.
Don't know what it looks like for Will Anderson after he leaves injured.
He's been great.
They're down to like one viable receiver. They'll get Nico Collins back eventually, but yeah, they can't really block. Yeah, big problems. I think they're 6-3, and they should win that division no problem. But I feel a lot less good about them than I did before Thursday night.
Change my mind. As an adult, the day after Halloween is better than Halloween itself.
Oh, easily. I mean, I'm so looking forward to being able to steal some of my son's Halloween candy when he's old enough to trick or treat.
Absolutely.
You get the leftover that you don't give out to the kids.
You get the leftovers. Plus, you got to pay full price on that Halloween candy beforehand and day of.
Go buy the half price stuff today. Absolutely. For real candy heads out there.
Oh, yeah. You know that's this program.
For the real candy fans, this is the day. There's no doubt about that.
You know that's right.
Neilio in the YouTube comments agrees with us. Says Stroud went from a fantasy football stud to a disappointment in 2 weeks. Yeah, blame the O-line.
He's killing me. Yeah, I don't think you're alone in that, Neilio. I think a lot of people picked Stroud and Mahomes thinking, 5,000 yards, 50 touchdown seasons, and it's not been close to that.
Coming up at the 4 o'clock hour, our Prairie Band Sportsbook 580 Sports Talk Picks Contest. A new round of What Is Wrong With You and a preview of Week 9 of the NFL season. Jeff Mittie's going to join us, the head coach of the K-State women's basketball team, in the 5 o'clock hour. Stay tuned. Lots more to come on 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Hour number 2 of 580 Sports Talk on this Football Friday afternoon. Great to be with you. Dan Lucero, Brendan Dworzinski, Spencer Dupuis. Gang's all here for a little bit. Brendan Dworzinski's got to get out to Lawrence for Washburn women's basketball tonight. The Washburn women completing a 2-game Big 12 road trip tonight as they take on the Kansas Jayhawks at Allen Fieldhouse.
Hey, if it wasn't for Prairie Band Sportsbook and these sports picks, I don't think we all three would have been together today.
Yeah, I think the picks are really the glue holding the show together, holding the trio together
today,
at least for one day. But Brendan will be on his way there in just a little bit. Then I'll head out to high school football tonight. We've got playoff action in the 5A West first round tonight between Seaman and Topeka West from Don Pierce Field at Seaman Stadium. And yours truly is on the call along with Greg Akagi and Spencer Dupuis. 7 o'clock kick. Pre-game starting with the 580 Coaches Club at 6:05 here on 580 WIBW. We appreciate you joining us here for 580 Sports Talk, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online, worldwide at 580WIBW.com, and on our video stream on YouTube. 580 Sports Talk is the YouTube channel, and also we are on Facebook at WIBW News. Still to come on the program today, our first November round of What Is Wrong With You. A look ahead to week number 9 in the NFL season. Of course, our 580 Sports Talk headlines lead off the 5 o'clock hour. We got some Chiefs injury news, got some Royals news last night that we can nibble on. Also, lots of NFL injury news of note going into week number 9. Plus, my conversation with Jeff Mittie, the head coach of the 13th ranked women's basketball team in the country, the Kansas State Wildcats. I spoke with him yesterday afternoon. We're going to bring that conversation to you at 5:25 today here on 580 Sports Talk. We hope you'll hang around for that. Hit us up on the Top City Metal Supply text line, 785-272-9429. You can also comment if you are watching live on the YouTube stream. Again, that channel is 580 Sports Talk. If you're watching live, we do have a live chat function. You can interact with us and your fellow listeners. You can also leave comments if you're watching on Facebook. Again, that page is WIBW News. We all made it through Halloween okay. Nobody got egged, TP'd. Mark was asking in the YouTube comments.
We're all good.
Yeah, no,
good
we
in the
were good.
neighborhood.
I did have my first experience, though, realizing, oh, shoot, I got to drive slowly in a neighborhood.
Yeah.
I have a
Yeah.
house now, and I'm not, going 100 on our 30-mile-an-hour road, but I turned into our neighborhood, and I saw a kid walking across the street, walking up a driveway, and thought, ooh, I got to make sure I'm extra slow because it's dark. It was after the coach's show last night, so I went like 15 on the roads on the way home, which was fine.
My wife was out of the house with Asher last night, and I didn't get home until like 6:15. I had to run a quick errand, and I got home at about 6:15, and I settled in. I'm like, all right, ready for the trick-or-treaters. I'm the one in charge of handing out the candy. I am ready to rock and roll. I can hear voices and footsteps outside, and nobody's ringing my doorbell. I thought, what the heck? Why ain't anybody coming up to the door? I got all these I got these Whoppers I'm trying to get rid of because I don't want these in the house.
Absolutely not.
Very anti-Whopper. If anybody would like some Whoppers,
There's a ton here at the station because I also deposited some Whoppers into this candy basket there because we're not a Whopper
come and
house
get
either.
these Whoppers. Reveal yourself Whopper fans of not Whopper the burger, Whopper the candy, Whoppers fans of Northeastern Kansas. Text the show 785-272-9429 and stand up for the humble Whopper. Our porch light wasn't on. It had accidentally gotten turned off. So I had to turn on the porch light. Once I turned on the porch light, doorbell started ringing. Saw some good costumes. My favorite was the kid who told me he could not have peanut butter because he was allergic to peanuts, but his costume was a jar of Jif peanut butter.
That's pretty funny.
He was dressed as a thing that could kill him, which I got a big kick out of. Also,
that's scary.
That is. What's scarier than peanut butter, right? To him, nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. That could end your life. There's nothing scarier than that. That's a great point. There's also a very good Bobby Witt Jr. costume. Young man came through, and instead of a bag for his candy, he held out his glove. And I thought that was great. I really,
that's pretty cool.
That was my favorite costume.
That's a good one.
And I told him so, and he seemed to really appreciate it. So, I enjoy it. Like, I lived in an apartment for a long time, like you are doing now, Spencer and Brendan, like you did for a long time until just this year. So one of the things I was really excited about when I moved into my wife bought a house long before she met me. So we moved in together in her house. And it was one of the things I was really excited about because I like Halloween. I like seeing the kids in their costumes and I like giving out the candy. So I was really excited to do it again and got a chance to do it for a couple hours before we had to put the kids down, but to sleep. And it was a fun night. It was fun and it looked like it was safe in the neighborhood. So
That's
I
always
enjoyed
good.
that.
Can I go on a quick rant real quick about my adventure in the last 40 minutes?
Sure.
It'll be quick. I know we've got to get this segment on the road.
Yeah, we got our Prairie Band
Brendan
Casino,
can get on the road.
Prairie Band Casino Resort, Prairie Band Sportsbook picks.
So I've been working all day. And that's not to say like whatever. So I talked to you guys. I carved out the 3:00 hour. I was like, I need to get some food before the game. And I ordered from a place that rhymes with smelly. No, is it?
No, that is
Smursy.
I saw where you got the food from that doesn't rhyme with smelly.
Smursy Jikes. Smursy Jikes.
Smelly.
Start. And I ordered a Gatorade because I've been sick lately and it's starting to come back because I've not slept a lot this week. And I ordered it online. They let me order it. Usually when something's out, they don't let you order it. I get in there and they've also changed things around in there. There's no like pickup order place like there used to be. I guess I haven't been in there in a while. And I go to pick up my order and I'm starting to walk out the door. I was like, this feels lighter than it should. And because there should be a thing of Gatorade in there. There's not a thing of Gatorade in there. Nobody told me about it.
Oh no.
Like somebody had to hand it to me from behind the counter. Nobody told me about it. And I walked out the door and I was like, hey, like I ordered this, like I see there's none in the fridge. Like, can I get like a refund? He's like, just take something else. And I was like, no, I'd like a refund. And the guy gets his manager, he's like, what? So what's up? And I told him, and I was like, can I get a refund? And he was like, yeah. And then it took another 5 minutes. And I was like, I need a Gatorade. So shout out to, I will name this business Casey's for being kind of on the route. So I had to get Casey's, but I had to drive, like I had to zoom back here to get on the show at 4:06.
So it sounds like you ordered something on the app that was not actually available on the at the location.
Yes.
Which,
this is very first world problems, but like it was very annoying because I had like
the principle of the thing.
Yeah, it's like the prices and participation may vary, and this particular location did not participate in having Gatorade.
Yes, but I
want to run a McDonald's and not participate in anything.
I carved out a set amount of time because I'm just going to pick
burgers?
it up and come it back. Nope.
We got spaghetti
and blankets. But we are not affiliated with that clown. He frightens too many people.
Was your sandwich good?
I haven't eaten it. I'm going to eat it later.
All right.
I just got it because I had that time.
Sure.
Big shout out to Mitch Hedberg. All right. We do have a couple of people.
Now let's get back on track.
Texter from the 785, Vance in the YouTube comments, both Whoppers fans. Whoppers are the best.
My sister likes Whoppers.
Vance says, all hail the mighty Whoppers.
I don't know.
I like the sandwich. I ain't eating the candy.
I don't know anybody that likes the candy Whoppers.
Well, we know two people now.
Yeah.
We know two people now who have raised their voices. Let's get to the picks, shall we? Our Prairie Band Sportsbook 580 Sports Talk Picks Contest brought to us by our friends at Prairie Band Sportsbook just inside the front entrance at Prairie Band Casino Resort in Mayetta. Bet your way at Prairie Band Sportsbook. For more information, go prairieband.com/sportsbook. All of the lines are from the Prairie Band Sportsbook book. And we are all looking for a bounce back. None of us had a winning week last week. I was 2-3, bringing my overall record to 22-20-1. Spencer also 2-3. He is 20-23.
I'm taking it as a win last week because I moved from third to second.
You did. You moved into second place ahead of Brendan, who went 0-5 and is now 18-24-1. I just want to ask you guys if you're aware that when we do our locks of the week, you're supposed to get that one right. Like Spencer, you're 3-6 on your locks of the week. Brendan, you were 4-5. I'm 6-2-1. I'm the only one who's calling my shot and hitting it out of the park like Babe Ruth.
Confidence levels are all jacked up.
Yeah, come on, guys. Come on. Let's get our locks going at the very least. All right. Brendan, since you went 0-5 last week, and this is the redemption week for you, and because I think you are going to have a redemption week, I really like your picks. Dangerous to say that to somebody who just went 0-5. But
yeah, I do appreciate that.
What do you got?
All right, my picks for this week in college football, I'm going with Indiana, which is on the road at Michigan State. But I do like the Hoosiers in this one. They are 7.5-point favorites. They are looking for their first ever 9-0 start. Curtis Rourke is back at quarterback. They just keep winning. Go Go ask Kurt Signetti. What does he do? He wins. And I'm taking the Hoosiers to keep winning and improve to 9-0, even after Michigan State had that big win last week. Also, I'm going to keep riding with Army until it stops working. I am going to keep riding with Army. Service Academy game. They're taking on Air Force. You can expect a low score because usually they have low scores. Air Force is awful, though. They are really, really bad. I feel bad for my guy, Troy Calhoun. But Army, my other guy, Jeff Monken, I think they are going to put up a bunch of points, and they're going to win. They are favored by 22. That's a huge number. I don't care. Give me the Knights. From the NFL, this is my lock of the week. I've got Denver +8 against Baltimore. Has this line moved at all by chance? Because some books were offering this as big as 9.
Yeah, right now it's all the way up to 9.5 now.
At Prairie Band?
Yes, it's moved a 1.5 since we locked these picks in at noon Central.
You see, okay, I'm going to keep it. I would like to take the altered line also for what that's worth.
Tough luck, pal. You got it at 8.
Yeah, so something's wrong here because nothing should indicate that Denver should be this big of an underdog, even on the road. Bo Nix has been league average in the last month, which is a major improvement. They have had the 3rd most successful running game over the last month, 3rd in rushing success rate. They've got a defense. Dan, I heard this earlier today. They're allowing 4.4 yards per play. Do you know the last team that allowed that few yards per play?
I do not.
The no-fly zone, 2015 Denver Broncos. What did they do? Won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Can you name the next team that had a yards per play allowed that good?
2013 Seahawks?
2013 Legion of Boom. What did they do? They won the Super Bowl. We're talking about a defense that is historically good for the Broncos. Meanwhile, the Ravens have allowed their opponents to get 53% of third downs in the last month. That's not good. That's not bad. That's horrific. I'm taking the Broncos. I think they keep it close. I don't know if they win, but I'll take them to keep it close. And the Lions on the road at Green Bay are 2.5-point favorites. That's not enough. I need way more to take the home team in that one. Emotional hedge, yes, but I think the Lions are right now playing like the best team in the NFL. So I will take Detroit. Finally, my wild card pick, Saints-Panthers, grossest game of the week. This is our NFL dumpster juice game of the week. One of the few defenses worse than the Panthers against the run, believe it or not, is the Saints. The Saints are 30th in the NFL in EPA against the run. That's awful. Chuba Hubbard, over 56.5 rushing yards. Sounds like Bryce Young is more likely than not going to start this game. They're going to have to run the ball. And the Saints can't stop it. They haven't tackled anyone in a month.
So locking in your bets early giveth, and locking in your bets early taketh away. After the news that Jonathan Brooks would not play in this game, the total now is 65.5 for Hubbard. But you locked it in at 56.5.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll settle.
It giveth and it taketh away. So those are Brendan's picks for the week.
Can someone win? Anyone, please?
I think you're in good shape. I really do. Spencer, you've moved into second place. What do you got this week?
Yes, I have. We're starting college football. These are like homer kind of picks, like safe, easy picks for me. Kansas State -12.5 at Houston. Although Fitz this week told us on the show that they kind of look like a tired bunch ready for their bye week next week. It's Houston. KU handled Houston. I think that Kansas State's going to handle Houston by those 12.5. Then my Marshall team up there, they're welcoming in ULM, University of Louisiana Monroe, without old starting quarterback now, General Booty. He's been demoted to the bench. They're favored
by... He is now Private Booty.
Yeah. He's Corporal Booty.
Marshall's favored by 10.5 at home. I'm going to take this. I think they do a lot better in November than they do in the months of September and October, statistically. So I'm going to take him now. Also, Coach Huff's coaching for his job because they might let him go after this year, which if they don't finish the season well, I wouldn't be surprised of that. Let's go to the NFL. Homer pick again here. Washington favored by 4 at the New York Giants. This is also my lock of the week. Typically after the Commanders score a majority of their points off field goals, the offense breaks out the next week. So I expect no different when they play the broken Giants on Sunday. Also, the Giants are going to be, this is the second time the Commanders have played the Giants this year. Second time the Giants will be without their starting kicker.
Yeah, because the first time they gave up 3 touchdowns and won 21-18. That's preposterous.
So funny.
That's a lucky break. That's nice for the Commanders.
Yes. And then my other pick in the NFL is Cincinnati -7.5 at home against the Raiders. The Raiders suck. The Bengals aren't all the way broken, but I think the going against the Raiders can fix them this week. At least they can get that 7.5 at home. And then my wild card goes back to the Washington New York game. Jaden Daniels total passing and rushing yards combined. I have that at the over of 278.5. You combine it all, he's going to go over that 278 easily. 278.5.
So a Marshall pick and not one but two Commanders picks this week.
No, steer into it. I respect it, honestly.
On brand picks for Spencer Dupuis. And I don't blame him in the least. Something to note, Spencer has the best NFL record of the three of us. He's 8-8 in the NFL. Neither of us have been real good picking the NFL so far this year. But Spencer's got the best NFL record.
I'm barely hanging on there.
Brendan's the only one of us with a winning record in college football, 9-8-1. So you have that. The more you know. My picks this week.
Yay.
My first pick is my lock of the week. Vanderbilt +7.5 at Auburn. Diego Pavia, the Vanderbilt quarterback, lives to torture Auburn head coach Hugh Freeze. He is 2-0 all time against Hugh Freeze. Beat him when Freeze was at Liberty and Pavia was the quarterback at New Mexico State. Then last year, they crushed Auburn when Freeze was in his first year as head coach. Auburn's improving, but they're still 3-5. I think Vanderbilt covers that 7.5 at Auburn because Diego Pavia lives to torment Hugh Freeze. I've also got Duke +20 at Miami. Miami's played a lot of really close games this year, closer than you'd expect. And Manny Diaz, the Duke head coach, former Miami guy, I know he's going to have his team up for this game. I think that's too big a point spread. I think Duke can stay within 20 of the Canes. Over in the NFL, I'm laying 6 with the Bills at home against the Dolphins. I was tempted to go the other way on this, but then I remembered Miami's defense stinks, and Javon Holland's going to be out, and Zach Seiler's going to be out, and that's bad. That's really bad for a defense that's already down a lot of dudes, and that tells me Buffalo's going to light up the scoreboard, and I'm not sure that Miami will be able to keep up, so I'll lay the 6 with Buffalo. Sunday Night Football, I got the Colts +5 at Minnesota. I think that offense will function a lot better with Joe Flacco. Like, you don't make that move. Bench the rookie, the number 5 overall pick, the second-year guy, Anthony Richardson, for Joe Flacco if you don't think that's going to unlock some things for your offense. And I think it will, to an extent that Indianapolis is able to keep it close, maybe even beat the Vikings, who have now lost 2 straight after their 5-0 start. My wild card pick, and folks, I am 7-2 with my wild card picks this year, just so everyone knows. 7-2 with these picks. I'm going over the team total for Army. I'm on the same boat as Brendan. Army's going to massacre Air Force. They're going to beat them like they stole something. It is going to be ugly. And I didn't want to lay the 22 because Brendan was already doing that. So I found a different approach. The team total for Army is 31.5. I think they vault over that with ease. I think they could score 40 on Air Force. Look, those Service Academy rivalries, generally speaking, the teams are of pretty equal quality, so the games are always close and typically really low scoring. When one team is a lot better than the other, they relish the opportunity to rub their nose in it a little bit, and I think that's what Army's going to do to Air Force. So I'm over 31.5 points with Army. A texter from the 785, happy to remind me that Indianapolis's last game against Minnesota in Minnesota did not go great for the Colts. Half of it went great.
Yeah, that's true. If you just forget the history-making other part of the game.
Yeah, the other half of it, I don't think history necessarily repeats itself. But hey, you know what? I'm getting 5 with Indianapolis. They would have covered that spread in that game. They would have covered. I think I bet that game 2 years ago. I think it was on Minnesota -3. So that was either the best or the worst push in gambling history, whichever you'd like. Anyway, those are our 580 Sports Talk picks. You can find those on our website, 580wibw.com. Again, I've got a 2.5 game lead over Spencer. Brendan is 2.5 games behind Spencer. So it is, I guess, a game and a half behind Spencer. So it's tight, but I'm the only one making you a profit. So, do with that information what you will. We're going to take a break here on 580 Sports Talk. Brendan's out for the week. He's going to Lawrence for Washburn women's basketball. We will talk to him on Monday. Spencer and I got you for What Is Wrong With You and an NFL Week 9 previews. We roll along in this 4 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk. Time for What Is Wrong With You, the first one of the month of November after Rashi Rice's mom pulled the stunning upset and won the month of October. We are now 2 months away from our Tournament of Failed Champions. Today's winner will be this week's short week winner and advance to one of the play-in games at the end of the month of November. 2 stories to bring us today. Spencer, why don't you go first?
I'm going to throw you a curveball. I found a different story.
Oh, wow. That is a curveball.
Yeah, I didn't. The story kind of changed narratives on me.
Okay.
And I don't find it amusing to put on What Is Wrong With You.
Okay. I appreciate your editorial judgment.
I find it dumb.
Okay.
We're going to the great state of Florida. Florida man was arrested after allegedly hiding radio-controlled and explosive devices in restrooms of a casino. Brian Eckley, 46 of Tampa, has been charged with 2 counts of making, possessing, throwing, projecting, placing, or discharging a destructive device, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement announced on Thursday. This is a quote from a special agent in charge, Mark Brutnell.
Mark Brunell.
Mark Brutnell.
Oh,
Brutnell.
A second career for the Jaguar legend.
No, not Brunell. Eckley did everything he could to hide from law enforcement, he said in a news release. But thanks to the exceptional work of this investigative and forensics team, he will be held accountable for his actions, is what the special agent in charge said at the Tampa Bay part of the law enforcement department in Florida. It's very weird the way this worded. He's currently being represented by a public defender in Hillsborough County. Authorities did not name which of the Tampa casinos where the explosives were hidden. Basically, the investigation into him began on September 30th after someone hid 2 radio-controlled explosives inside 2 restrooms in a local casino. Employees found the devices before they caused any damage. Several leads helped investigators narrow down the suspect as a male driving a white Ford Explorer. Interview, surveillance, and analytical work led to them identifying Eckley, according to the agency. Days before planting the explosive devices in September, he was arrested by Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office in an unrelated aggravated assault with a firearm case. The forensics analyst tied evidence from that case to the explosives. According to the release, he was arrested Wednesday and booked into the Hillsborough County Jail. He does not currently have a bond, and his pretrial detention hearing is scheduled for November 5th.
So they really found these devices.
Yes.
This isn't like a figure of speech.
No, like they found bombs that weren't
like the guy in the Wichita Home Depot that one time said, I'm about to blow the bathroom up, and they called the cops, and no, that time it was a figure of speech.
Yes.
This guy was really about to blow the bathroom
but the what is wrong with you point is he got arrested days before. They used the evidence from that to tie him to this.
Yeah, not exactly a criminal mastermind, but I knew that when I heard the part about putting explosive devices in the bathrooms of casinos.
Yes.
So that is one story today. My story today, we're going overseas to jolly old England, where we meet a 63-year-old man who's been arrested on suspicion of stealing more than 900 wheels of cheese. 22 tons of cheese from Neal's Yard Dairy were stolen, and a 63-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of fraud by false representation and handling stolen goods. Neal's Yard Dairy said it delivered more than 950 wheels of cheese to the fraudsters who claimed they were a wholesale distributor for a major French retailer. It was only afterwards they realized the whole thing was a scam. Inquiries remain ongoing. 22 tons of premium cheddar worth 300,000 pounds.
Wow.
To what end? What do you need to steal that much cheese for? Like, I can understand, like, yeah, man, got to feed my family. I'm going to steal this wheel of cheese. Or, yeah, I got to feed several families. I'm going to steal 5, 10 wheels of cheese. They stole 950 wheels of cheese. They pretended they were the distributors. They just drove off with the stuff. What, is there a black market for cheese in England?
Apparently.
Are they selling cheese on the black market?
I guess so. That's wild.
That's so much cheese.
How could somebody consume that much cheese?
I just like the idea that this 63-year-old man was a criminal mastermind, stole 950 wheels of cheese. That's so much cheese. We've had this conversation on the show before. Long time ago, but like, I'm not the biggest cheese guy in the world. Like, it's not like I'm anti-cheese. I'm not lactose intolerant, any of those things. Like, I'll eat cheese on pizza. I'll have a cheeseburger, those kinds of things. But like, I know people that'll just like straight up eat cheese, and I think that's wild. Like, I do not want to eat like a block of cheese or like cheese cubes or like a handful of shredded cheese. Like, absolutely not. People eat Homer Simpson, sit down, 64 slices of American cheese.
I'll eat pepperoni and cheese.
Like, yeah, you got to have it with something, like cheese and crackers. That's fine. I just can't do just cheese. I have to have something else. Not even like fancy cheese. It's supposed to have like its own like flavor profile. I can't really do that.
No,
I need a cracker, man.
Yeah.
It's so much cheese. It was for anyone wondering, it was premium cheddar.
What is premium cheddar? Is that just
Like cheddar but good?
so you're saying regular cheddar's not good? Like what?
Like better. It sounds like it's better cheddar to me.
I guess.
Remember those crackers? They still make those. They still make better cheddars.
I've never heard of better cheddar before in my life.
Man, you really never heard of the better cheddar crackers? Yeah. Yeah,
Nope.
they still make them.
I'm looking.
$18 for a box on Amazon. What?
You can buy one at Walmart for $3.78 and pick it
Okay.
up today.
That's much better. Yeah.
Apparently they're branded. Or no, I guess the Johnsonville has better with cheddar smoked sausages.
Those are good. I've had those.
But
Those
yeah,
are
I've
good.
never heard of better cheddar.
I'm not
before.
anti-cheese. I just like cut yourself a slice off the pizza wheel and take a bite out of a hunk of cheese. Yeah, that can't be me.
Yeah, that's weird to just take bites out of cheese.
So what do we got today? We got the bathroom bomber, and we got the somebody from the 785 in the Top City Mail Supply text line calls it the Jeez Louise cheese caper.
I don't know. My other story would have gone down a deep end I didn't want to go down today.
Okay.
I don't know if you glanced at it.
I did not. Didn't get
Okay.
a chance. No.
It was one of Aaron Rodgers' favorite things to do.
Go
on retreats.
drugs.
Ayahuasca. So I didn't want to go down that
Throw the
rabbit
ball
hole.
to the other team. Throw the ball to Devontae Adams. Blame other people. Talk at length about conspiracies to Pat McAfee. He's got a lot of things he likes to do.
I guess we're going to go with the cheese guy today.
950
That's just way too many.
wheels of cheese. So much cheese. Cheese theft, lactose larceny. Paul called it in the YouTube comments. We'll figure out a name for it. It's our winner. It goes on to the end of the month automatically by being a short week winner on What Is Wrong With You. We'll take a break here on 580 Sports Talk. When we come back, week 9 of the NFL season. It's a big Sunday. There are no Chiefs. Which games should you be paying attention to? We'll tell you next. 442 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan and Spencer with you here. Spencer's got the 5 o'clock hour, which will include my conversation earlier this week with Jeff Mittie, the head coach of the K-State women's basketball team, the 13th ranked team in the country coming into this season. Open their season. They'll open up before we have a chance to talk to you next, in fact, because they play on Monday morning at Bramlage Coliseum, an 11 a.m. tip-off for their first game of the 2024-25 season, taking on Green Bay. I keep wanting to call them Wisconsin Green Bay. I haven't the naming structures of those schools that used to be state schools
They've all changed, right?
with the city. Yeah, like used to be UNC Charlotte and Nebraska Omaha and Wisconsin Green Bay, and a lot of the ones who are like Division I schools have just dropped the state name and just gone with the city as their brand. UMKC's done the same. Their branding is Kansas City, not Missouri, Kansas City, UMKC anymore. It's Kansas City.
I think University of North Carolina at Pembroke is still a thing.
Yeah, like some of the Division II schools, Division III schools are still go by those names. But a lot of those Division I schools, especially in the larger cities, have dropped that. But anyway,
I'll throw a wrench into your thoughts about I don't know how much you know of any Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference D2 schools.
Nothing. What you've told me and nothing
East
else.
Stroudsburg, Clarion, just ones along those lines. The state of Pennsylvania has changed their college system. So technically these are all independent schools, but then technically they're part of Penn East and Penn West. They're all in one college, or they're all in one college program. They just have different campuses. So like their official names are really weird if you ever go to look them up.
I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into some NFL football, shall we? Week 9 coming up this Sunday. Week 9 started last night. Told you folks, don't chase the cheese. If Texans getting 2 seemed too good to be true, that's because it was. That was a gross football game.
Yeah.
Truly appalling. Jets win it 21-13. So looking at Sunday's schedule, I have a few honors to give out for games this Friday. First of all, the game of the week on Sunday, Lions-Packers. Pretty simple there. 2 of the best teams in the best division in football. Hopefully we get both starting quarterbacks. Sure sounds like Jared Goff is going to be fine for Detroit, even though he's, sat out of practice earlier. And Jordan Love says he's going to try to go, even if he doesn't practice. But he was able to practice on a limited basis today. So it does seem like both teams' starting quarterbacks are going to get a chance to play in this one. Brendan, our resident Packer fan, not optimistic that the Packers can hold home field advantage in this one. They are the home team. Detroit, though, is the 2.5-point favorite. Detroit's just dropping points on everybody. The last 4 games, they scored 42, 47, 31, and 52 points, and they only gained 225 yards of offense in that game against the Titans, in which they scored 52. So forcing 4 turnovers helped with that. They are also, in that 4-game span, they are plus 11 in the turnover department, which is how you blow teams out and how you score in big numbers. Can the Packers avoid turning the ball over? That's going to be the big question for them. Are they going to be able to avoid turning the ball over? Are they going to force some of their own? They're the best turnover forcing team in the league. 19 turnovers forced, but they have also committed 12, which is 24th in the league. So I think turnovers probably tell a big story in this one between the Packers and the Lions. And it's tough to go to Lambeau Field and win. I know that much. That's the game of the week. My thought is that's the best matchup of the week.
Yeah, I would tend to confer with you on that. Concur. Yes.
We conferred and you concurred.
Yes, I concur with you on that. I don't think there's any other game of the week, any matchups that could be game of the week this week.
So the litmus test of the week for me, a game where I think we're going to learn a little bit about one team. Brendan brought this one up too in his picks. The Denver Broncos are 5-3, and nobody is taking the Broncos real seriously to this point because they've beaten who they were supposed to beat, and they've lost, and fairly convincingly so, to the teams that they were supposed to lose to. The one exception to that is their win over the Buccaneers in week 3. That one kind of stands out as a bit of a surprise. But after losing to the Chargers to drop to 3-3, they put it on the Saints on Thursday Night Football, and then pretty easily handled the Panthers this last Sunday. Bo Nix has played better football, it must be said. I still don't think he's any great shakes, but he's taken care of the ball, and the passing game has been functional for the Broncos the last couple of weeks, and they've gotten to 5-3, and their defense is playing out of this world, particularly against the pass. Although, again, what quarterbacks have they played against this year? They played against Justin Fields, and they played against the last 2 weeks Spencer Rattler and Bryce Young. So this week, bit more of a challenge. Lamar Jackson is good to go. He told media today that any missed practice this week was just about taking care of his body and that he will play on Sunday. This is the first real big test for the Broncos. They are on the road, so no altitude advantage. They are 9.5-point underdogs. I'm kind of with Brendan, though. I think their defense is legit, and I think they're going to keep this game close. I'd be very surprised if this ended up in a Ravens blowout. That being said,
Yeah,
we have seen the Ravens blow some teams out.
I don't know. Ravens, I'm not completely sold on the Ravens. I don't know. I feel like it's every year around this time that we start to question the Ravens in mid-November to early December, and then they get into the playoffs and then they stall too. So,
yeah, they certainly have they certainly have something to prove when it comes to the postseason. When it comes to January, they absolutely have something to prove. But they're second in the league in points scored, first in the league in yards. This is a real good offense that this Broncos defense is seeing. I think Baltimore wins, but if Denver plays them tough, I think that that would allow some credence to the idea that maybe they're a little ahead of where we thought they would be in year number 2 under Sean Payton.
also Lamar is gonna go. He's gonna play, but he's banged up.
He is.
So you might not get a full-fledged Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, and obviously that would limit what they can do offensively. It can limit what he can do outside of the pocket, but they might just be able to hammer it with Derrick Henry and Justice Hill too, because I don't think that Denver's been great against teams that really want to commit to the run either. The frisky game of the week, game I think could be fun, Bears at Cardinals. Now, I thought the Bears were going to be fun against the Commanders last week, and outside of a great finish, that wasn't a very fun football game. The Bears offense really didn't show up. Bears defense has been pretty good. Cardinals offense has been a lot of fun. This game has a lot of potential. I could see this one ending like 31-28. I could also see it being like a 12-8, just bore fest. So wide range of outcomes possible, I think, in Bears Cardinals. That's my frisky game of the week. Brendan has taken to picking a game as the loser leaves town game of the week.
Yeah.
Bears Cardinals kind of qualifies. Both teams sitting right around 500. I have another pick, though. Loser leaves town in the NFC West. Rams at Seahawks. A thing that has gone largely unnoticed, not by me, unfortunately, but the Seahawks used to be invincible at home. At Lumen Field, that was a place you did not go and win, particularly through the 2000s and into the better part of the 2010s. You did not go to a stadium that at one time was the loudest in the United States, in the world. We all know who broke that record. Don't make me say it, please. But that used to be a place where you just didn't go win. Like,
I despised when Washington in 2012, didn't they go there?
In the playoffs?
Yeah.
No, that was a home game for Washington.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, it was crummy turf that RG3 blew his knee out on.
I meant 07.
Yes, it was 07.
It was 07.
It was 07 and also 05.
Yes.
That Washington lost in Seattle in the playoffs. Yeah, it used to be you look at the Seahawks schedule and say, well, they're going to go 7-1 at home. Like they might even go 8-0 at home. They're so good at home. They stink at home now. They are bad. Like, genuinely, they are a bad team at home. The home crowd, the noise advantage isn't what it used to be there. And now they play a Rams team that has really had their number. Sean McVay owned Pete Carroll. And Mike McDonald is not Pete Carroll. And we'll see how effective Puka Nacua is. There's a chance he plays. But the Rams, they were started 1-4. They've won 2 in a row. Seattle's kind of teetering on this season. Like, what are they going to be? Are they a serious team or not? Like, are the Rams a serious team or not? We're going to learn one way or another about both of those teams in our loser leaves town game of the week this week. I think the Rams are going to win. And maybe that's just me poor mouthing my own team for the sake of the emotional hedge.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take the Rams in this one too.
it's a virtual pick'em. The last I saw the spread at Prairie Man Sportsbook, it was the Rams by half a point, which is just it's a pick'em. But again, it used to be the Seahawks didn't lose at home. So far this year, the Seahawks are 2-3 at Lumen Field. They have lost to the Giants, the 49ers, and the Bills. And look, the 49ers and Bills are good, but they got blown out by the Bills last week, and that never used to happen to the Seahawks at home. So definitely concerned about that in the long term and certainly in the short term as well. I hate to say it, but I do think the Rams are going to pull that one out. That's your look at week number 9. Spencer will have some more football thoughts for you on the weekend to come in both the college and the pro ranks coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. But for now, we take a break. We'll come back with On Second Thought to wrap up this 4 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk.
Protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com.
Robinhood is introducing forecast contracts so you can trade the presidential election. Through Robinhood, you can now trade financial derivatives contracts on who will win the U.S. presidential election, Harris or Trump, and watch as contract prices react to real-time market sentiment. Each contract you own will pay $1 on January 8, 2025, if that candidate is confirmed as the next U.S. president by Congress. Learn more about the presidential election contracts on Robinhood at www.robinhood.com/election. The risk of loss in trading commodity interest can be substantial. You should therefore carefully consider whether such trading is suitable for you in light of your financial condition. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Commodity interest trading is not appropriate for everyone. Display prices are based on real-time market sentiment. This event contract is offered by Robinhood Derivatives, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm. Exchange and regulatory fees apply. This station does not recommend any specific investment.
Time is up. The IRS is in full collection mode for 2024, issuing liens, levies, and garnishments to anyone who has a past tax debt or unfiled tax return. Don't wait till it's too late. Your paycheck and bank accounts are at risk of being seized. Call now and stop the collection process today. If you're living check to check, no matter how much you're making, you still may qualify for the Fresh Start programs offered by the IRS to be used so you can eliminate your tax debt. It's just a 5-minute call to get your options, and it's free. If you owe back taxes, have years of unfiled tax returns, under audit, have a wage and bank levy, or finally just want to sleep better, business or personal, call the experts and Republic Tax Relief while there's still time. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. It's tough. This veteran-owned company has the fight you need to take on the IRS. Don't go at it alone. The call is free. Call their hotline number now, 800-652-1714. That's 800-652-1714. Find out if you qualify today. Call 800-652-1714 or go to republictaxrelief.com.
Let's qualify for enrollment. Results will be there. Paid for by A&D Financial.
WIBW, Topeka.
Second thought.
On second thought, I picked against the Los Angeles Dodgers in all 3 rounds of the playoffs in which they played. I thought the Padres had a deeper roster, more pitching, and they would get them, and they were up 2-1, and they blew it because they're the Padres. Why would I ever pick the Padres to do anything? That was dumb. I picked the Mets to beat the Dodgers because I thought the Mets had more pitching. They did have more pitching. The problem was the more pitching they had was not good. And the vibes ran out, and Grimace betrayed them, and they lost. And then I thought the Yankees would do it because, again, I thought the Yankees had more pitching. And then Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Walker Buehler turned into Don Drysdale and Sandy Koufax just in time for the Dodgers to win a real World Series in a real season for the first time since 1988. I begrudgingly tipped my cap. I was wrong.
I got 2 on second thoughts today. One goes back to my rant at the beginning of the hour. I left here at 3:33, and I was like, I'll be back way in time to get back on the show. And I was like, I'm gonna stop and get gas too on my way back because I need gas in order to get to Seaman tonight. And I looked up after everything, and I was like, oh no, I got to get back now because I got to get on the air for the start of the 4 o'clock. And then my other on second thought was I was sitting there on Sunday afternoon, and I looked over to my girlfriend. I said, it's over. With the Commanders, and I said it's over. They're taking
one last mention of the Hail Mary. We knew we had to get one
Yeah.
in before the end of the week.
I said it's over. They were taking the field. I said it's over. There's no point in watching this.
Hey, sometimes being wrong is good.
Yeah, I'll take that.
The Commanders play the Giants on Sunday, for those who are wondering. I'm out of here. I got high school football tonight. 580 Preps playoff football. Seaman against Topeka West at Don Pierce Field at Seaman Stadium. Hope you'll join me for that kickoff at 7. Spencer's got you for the final hour, including Jeff Mittie, head coach of the K-State women's basketball team. That's coming up on 580 Sports Talk.
Final hour, 580 Sports Talk, the stretch run for your Friday here. Spencer Dupuis, happy to have you with me for calling this youngest in command movement here. 5:06 here in Topeka on top Huntoon Hill. 6 o'clock, we will take you to Coaches Club before pregame coverage around 6:30 live from Seaman High School as Seaman takes on Topeka West in the first round of the 5A playoffs. That'll be Dan Lucero on the call with Greg Akagi, and I'll be on the sidelines for that one. And then if you're so inclined to listen to Washburn Women's Hoops, they are on Country 106.9. That's a 6:15 pregame, 6:30 tip as they are in Lawrence for their second of 2 exhibition games, taking on the KU women and Brandon Schneider's club as they get ready to start the season next Friday and Saturday. They'll be in St. Cloud, Minnesota for a couple matchups as they'll be taking on Southwest Minnesota, excuse me. I think of Missouri because of where we are in proximity. They'll be taking on Southwest Minnesota State University on Friday at 4 p.m., which we'll get a special edition of Washburn Women's Hoops right here on 580 WIBW next Thursday around 3:45. We'll come on with the pregame coverage live from St. Cloud, Minnesota for the Central Region crossover. And on Saturday, 4 p.m., we'll come on after Washburn football's broadcast ends. They'll be taking on St. Cloud State as that's where it's being held. So it'll be a true road game for that one and neutral site game for Friday's game. Both games 4 p.m. One game, Friday's game here on 580. The other game will follow Washburn football on Country 106.9. And yours truly will have the call. I'll be heading up there Thursday with the Washburn Women's Hoops team. We will be heading to St. Cloud, Minnesota, Hollenbach Hall on the campus of St. Cloud University. As it's crossover season, as Dan talked about in hour one, busy stretch of the year. So I will not be on 580 Sports Talk on Thursday. Well, maybe I will. I don't know. Depends on what time we're leaving. Not too sure exactly what time I am leaving. Potentially could be on from the hotel. We'll see how things go, though. We'll play that by ear. But Washburn football coming up tomorrow on Country 106.9 with Brennan Dorzinski, and the crew will be out there as it's Washburn's homecoming as they are taking on University of Nebraska at Kearney at home. Kearney, excuse me. It'll be at Yeager Stadium, a 1 p.m. kickoff. It'll be a 12:30 pregame on Country 106.9 tomorrow. As we get things going here in this final hour of 580 Sports Talk, let's get some headlines going here as we will get a final Chiefs injury report. Not the final one, though. Our final one we will give you, but they will practice tomorrow because of the Monday game, so there's no designations with these. Only one player did not participate in practice today. That would be Juju Smith-Schuster, still dealing with the hamstring injury. Probably won't go on Monday night. If he does, he'll probably be limited in the amount of snaps that he'll play. But corner Nazi Johnson returned to practice in a limited fashion as he continues to clear concussion protocol. Also, offensive lineman Ethan Driscoll, who was out with an illness yesterday, returned to practice. And Mike Dana continued to practice in a limited capacity as he returns from his pec injury, one that he hasn't practiced in quite a few weeks. He might be able to go on Monday. Obviously, tomorrow's practice afterwards, they'll set if he's questionable or he's good to go. Also, injury notes here. Jordan Wiley appears to have Jared Wiley, not Jordan Wiley. Jared Wiley appears to have tweaked his knee between yesterday and today, as he was not on yesterday's injury report, but he was limited in practice today. Everyone else, full participants in practice. Kareem Hunt yesterday was limited with a quad. He is now full. McCall Hardman, knee. He's been full both days. Patrick Mahomes tweaked his ankle. He's been full. Trent McDuffie, knee. He's full, as well as Derrick Noddy, full participant, and Drew Tranquil a full participant as well. Triceps and chest, respectively, to those two guys. We do have a Buccaneers injury report for you as well, as they had a couple guys that did not practice. Four guys. One to be expected, Mike Evans, coming off that, or after that hamstring injury he suffered. Don't expect him to come back till week 11, week 12. So didn't expect him to practice at all this week. Also, linebacker Levante David didn't practice for a second straight day, dealing with an ankle and chest injuries. Did not practice his nose tackle Greg Gaines, who's dealing with a calf injury. Bucky Irvin, the running back, he's dealing with a toe injury. He didn't practice for the second straight day, along with Sterling Shepard, who didn't practice for a second straight day due to a hamstring injury. There's a new player on the injury report. That is Antonio Winfield Jr., limited in practice today with a foot injury. Looks like Tyke Smith, the safety, he cleared concussion protocol as he went from limited yesterday to full today. Limited participation for William Goldstein, the defensive lineman with a knee injury. And limited participation for guard Ben Bredesen with a shoulder injury, limited both days. And a full participation for long snapper Evan Deckers, coming back from a hamstring injury that he was on the injured reserve with. So he could go Monday if they activate him. If obviously you need some time to get back into the swing of game, or of obviously playing. So we'll see what happens with him there. We do have something else to talk about Chiefs-wise. We have this guy on the show every Thursday in the 5 o'clock hour. Talked to him yesterday. Great to talk to. Love talking to Mitch Holtis. Well, he has been nominated by the team for this year's Salute to Service Award. He's used his 31-year career in the NFL as a platform to honor, empower, and connect with military members. He is the Chiefs 2024 NFL Salute to Service honoree, which is amazing. Usually you see it as a player. Somebody in the front office, not the play-by-play broadcaster. Or it's a legend of the team, like, for instance, the Steelers is Rocky Blyer. Just to name a few other guys here. Tony Richardson for the Jets. Let's see who else honorees for this. Let's go down here. Jeremy Reeves for the Commanders, so a player. George Kittle for the 49ers, a player. Blake Ferguson for the Dolphins, a player. But big shout out to Mitch Holtis. He is the Chiefs participant for this year, honoree for this year's Salute to Service Award, and congratulations to Mitch. Well deserved for everything that he does. Well deserved, obviously. Love to talk to him every week. We'll be talking to him next Thursday, obviously, hopefully about a Chiefs win as they look to go get another win this week. But let's move down the line of injuries with some Royals news for you. The offseason in full swing. The Royals have picked up players have picked up the options, Hunter Renfroe and Chris Stratton. Now, you're probably happy about one and not happy about the other. The Royals can cut bait by DFAing Chris Stratton, so not too much to worry about there. I think it was as expected. If you're a player who's not doing well and you have a player option, you're obviously going to pick it up. That's just what happens. Renfroe will earn $7.5 million next year after making $5.5 million this past season. 32-year-old obviously signed last offseason. He had just 15 home runs, fewest home runs he's had. He's hitting a full season at the big league level. Obviously, he missed some time with an injury. But Stratton struggled last year, 5.55 ERA in 57 games, 33 walks, and just over 58 innings. He did solid through the beginning months, but it was June, July, and August that really hurt him. Also, the team, Adam Frazier has had his team option declined by the Royals. Not a shocker there. I mean, he was obviously a platoon reserve guy for most of the year. I'm not shocked about that at all. The only other Royals also outrighted reliever Josh Taylor. He elected free agency. Taylor was acquired from Boston for shortstop Alberto Mondesti before the 2023 season. He appeared in just 17 games for the Royals that year, missed all of this season with an injury. He was ARB eligible. Could have earned $1 million in salary, but instead became a free agent. Also, pitcher Michael Wacha has his $16 million player option, but he is expected to decline that as he was one of the best pitchers in baseball this year. He will likely earn a multi-year contract after posting that 3.35 ERA in 29 starts. He has until November 4th to declare whether or not to exercise that option. So that'd be Monday. Even if he declares his option, the Royals could re-sign him, and they have expressed the desire to bring him back. One other Royals note here, they had a decision to make about a minor league arm. That's left-handed pitcher Evan Sisk. He had a 1.57 ERA with 81 strikeouts and 57 in the third innings for Omaha this year as a left-hander. They selected his contract. He'll be up in Major League camp. He's on the 40-man roster. I expect him to fight for a spot in that bullpen this upcoming season, which could be great for a guy that had great success in AAA. See if he can push that to the Major League level. As we continue going down some headlines here, other NFL participation reports on Friday. No T. Higgins or Orlando Brown for the Bengals. We talked about this earlier. Lamar Jackson says he's good to go for the Ravens. No DK Metcalf for the Seahawks. TJ Hawkinson will make his return for the Vikings. We also have one college headline here coming out of realignment. Grand Canyon will join the Mountain West by at least 2026, the school and conference announced today. The decision comes 6 months after GCU announced it would join the West Coast Conference in 2025. So they have switched things up, and they are going to join the Mountain West in everything, as there'll be a non-football member in 26, 27. As we get going through more headlines here, we talked last couple days about the WNBA expanding and Patrick Mahomes trying to get the WNBA to Kansas City. Obviously, that's going to take a lot to get. It won't be till 2027, 2028, but that is possible. As we'll look forward to some things here. Let's get another check here of some NCAA headlines. The Big 12 has announced today that, or we did go over that. There was none of the games were compromised by the helmets in-game communication. It looks like they'll be able to get that back before Saturday's slate of games. So that's good to see that they can get back. They're able to get back their in-helmet communications and be on a level playing field with the rest of the Power Four. Other NFL injury news: Commanders running back Brian Robinson with a hamstring is officially questionable for Sunday's game. As we go forward here through headlines, let me double check, see if we have any new headlines coming through the wire here. Does not appear like there are any more headlines for you. But again, tonight on right here on 580 WIBW, following 580 Sports Talk, we will have Coaches Club. And following that, we'll have pregame coverage from Seaman High School as Seaman takes on Topeka West in Class 5A playoffs. Playoffs begin tonight here in Kansas. On the call tonight, Dan Lucero, Greg Akagi, all be on the sidelines. Obviously, the last game between these two teams, it was storm shortened back in the beginning part of the season, so that should be a good one. Also on Country 106.9 tonight, we'll have Washburn women's basketball exhibition contest as they're in Lawrence to take on the KU women's basketball team. 6:30 tip-off, 6:15 pregame coverage. And we will have, obviously, K-State tomorrow here. It's a 2:30 kickoff as they're in Houston to take on the Cougars. And we'll have NFL coverage from Compass Media on Sunday. And then, we'll get into K-State women on Monday right here on 580 WIW before we talk to you next time. But let's step aside for a quick break. When we come back, we'll have Dan's interview with Kansas State women's basketball head coach Jeff Mittie. Caught up with him earlier this week ahead of the start of the season. We'll play that back next right here on 580 WIBW FM 104.9 on 580 Sports Talk.
prices are based on real-time market sentiment. This event contract is offered by Robinhood Derivatives, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm. Exchange and regulatory fees apply. This station does not recommend any specific investment.
Back-to-back Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs play here. Mahomes looks that way. He's going to go wide open left side. Caught. Kelsey put her out. Touchdown. Kansas City. Listen to the best game day coverage in the NFL and follow the Chiefs all season long right here on your home for Kansas City Chiefs football. The world champion Kansas City Chiefs play here. WIVW.
Robinhood is introducing forecast contracts so you can trade the presidential election. Through Robinhood, you can now trade financial derivatives contracts on who will win the U.S. presidential election, Harris or Trump, and watch as contract prices react to real-time market sentiment. Each contract you own will pay $1 on January 8th, 2025, if that candidate is confirmed as the next U.S. president by Congress.
Welcome back, 580 Sports Talk. It is the youngest in command movement. Spencer Dupuy, happy to have you with me. Brendan Dorzinski probably has now landed at Allen Fieldhouse in Lawrence, getting ready to call Washburn exhibition women's hoops action as they take on the women's basketball team for Kansas, the Jayhawks, Brandon Snyder's crew. It's a 6:30 tip-off. Pre-game coverage at 6:15 on our sister station, Country 106.9. Dan Lucero, probably too, has landed up in Seaman as he's setting everything up for our broadcast, which is set to begin in about an hour and 4 minutes for high school playoff action, for high school football 5A action. That begins with pregame coverage around 6:30. Coaches Club Prairie following us here on 580 Sports Talk with a 7 p.m. kickoff as Seaman hosts Topeka West in the 5A playoffs. But let's turn our attention to women's basketball. The number 13 Kansas State Wildcats, the Mini Cats, they opened their 57th season against Green Bay out of the Horizon League. An odd time for you. It is 11 a.m. on Monday. They're getting it started early. It's Education Day. Business and basketball is the promotion for that. So a lot of kids will be in attendance. You can tune into that right here on 580 WIBW at 10:30 pregame coverage with play-by-play broadcaster Matt Walters on the call. The analyst will be Kristen Waller as they get things going on their season. They lead the series with Green Bay 4-2. But head coach Jeff Mittie is 1-1 in his career against Green Bay, and it's the first meeting against the Phoenix at K-State. The Wildcats are 9-2 against current members of the Horizon League. Obviously, returning for the Wildcats is Aoka Lee, one of the best players in the country. She returns. She's on the cusp of she was the 2024-2025 preseason Big 12 Player of the Year. She needs 140 points to pass Kendra Wecker for the K-State career scoring record. She owns the career school records for rebounds and blocks. So she's getting ready to get her season underway in a big way for her final season. Obviously, they've got a lot of other returning members, but earlier this week, Dan Lucero caught up with the one and only head coach of the Lady Wildcats, Jeff Mittie. Here's his conversation from earlier this week.
Jeff, you were coming off of an exhibition opener against the Washburn Ichabods, a victory at Bramlage Coliseum on Wednesday night. What were you most pleased with from your team in that exhibition contest?
Yeah, I think, a couple things. One, they pressed us, which we hadn't spent a lot of time working on the press. And, that's what these exhibition games are for. Sometimes you get a different style than you've played every day. So I think it was good for us to face that. We had a lot of different lineups out there. Was able to get a lot of our bench players extended minutes and they were able to play maybe some different roles than they had. I think the one thing that's always difficult for your bench is, they can, because maybe they don't get as many reps as the starters, things like press break, side out of bounds plays, they maybe don't get as many reps at 2, 3, 4 positions. But last night we were able to get some of those, and I thought our players played pretty well.
You had 7 players in that contest finish with 8 or more points. And obviously the minute load is not going to be the same on your starters in an exhibition game as it is when you get into the teeth of your Big 12 schedule. But when you look at that, you have 7 players with 8 or more points. Do you feel like that kind of scoring balance this year is either a possibility or maybe even a goal with this group, given the skill sets you have on hand?
Yeah, we went into the off season thinking that one of the areas we had an opportunity to improve was players that were returning that were young in our system, and specifically players like Taryn Sides, Zy Walker, Eliza Maupin, Gisela Sanchez were all pretty young in the system last year, but we have high expectations that they're going to be able to increase their scoring, increase their minutes, and that's just going to give us better balance. And then when you add to the fact that we've got a good returning group that whether it be Serena or Jay or Yoki, then we add the portal. So when you add that mix in, this should be a pretty balanced scoring team. And obviously we've got the go-to in Aoka Lee, but, she only played 11 minutes last night. And we saw good minutes from Kennedy. We saw good minutes from Amani Lester. So I think depth and I think balanced scoring should be a strength of this team.
Jeff Mittie, head coach of the Kansas State Wildcat women basketball team, joining us here on 580 Sports Talk. Last season, obviously, an outstanding one for your program. You were able to earn a 4 seed in the NCAA tournament, which meant that you got to play at home in the first 2 rounds of the tournament, but lost that home game in the round of 32 to the 5 seed Colorado. As you went into the offseason, what did you identify as the things where you needed to be better as a program to get over that hump, to get to that next weekend and into the regional rounds? And looking back on what you were able to accomplish this offseason as the year is about to begin, do you feel like you were able to accomplish those things?
Yeah, well, some of it you mentioned. We wanted to get better balanced scoring. We were probably still too reliant on Lee. And then, in that particular game, we only put up 50 and we did not have enough guard scoring. I think that Taryn Side, Zy Walker have had a fantastic offseason. I think Jalen Glenn has continued to improve Sundell, but specifically, I think Taryn and Zai can really improve that scoring and playmaking ability. I think the other area was we've got to get we needed to get stronger and more physical depth at the center spot. And we were able to do that with the addition of Kennedy Taylor. And then Imani Lester was not healthy last year at that time. She's healthy. I think we've seen good growth in her. So depth along the front line was critical, and better scoring from the guards. And I think we've got that opportunity. I think our roster is in a pretty good place.
Having assembled the roster that you've assembled to be preseason number 13 in the country, first time in a long time that K-State women's basketball has been a preseason AP top 25 team, and to be the preseason pick to win the Big 12 conference, what does that mean to you and the program?
Well, I think everything's about recruiting, right? I mean, everything, when you talk about out there recruiting, I mean, these are the type of programs that, you know, players want to play. They want to play at schools that are competing for championships. They want to play for schools that are ranked consistently. And we got into the poll very early last year and stayed in it the entire year. We start off the year in it. There aren't any guarantees, but we've got high expectations this year. And we've seen it, you know, we've been fortunate that recruits have taken notice of that as well. So, you know, every team is flawed to a certain degree. It's just some less than others. And I've said numerous times how much I love this team's work ethic. I love the way this team goes about their business. I think we'll have every opportunity to have a really, really good year. And our goal, and we think we have the talent to do it, is to go further, much further than we went last year. So we're going to have that opportunity.
Our guest is the head coach of the K-State women's basketball team, Jeff Mittie, here on 580 Sports Talk. Aoka Lee is back for one final season in Manhattan, and it's rare to have an active player with a number in the rafters. She's already got one for her all-time NCAA single-game scoring record, and surely her own number will one day hang in those Bramlage Coliseum rafters. But beyond the scoring, beyond the stats, beyond the stuff we see for 40 minutes a night on the floor, what has she meant to this team? How much did it mean to be able to bring her back, and what has her presence enabled you to do as a coach and enabled these players to do around her?
Yeah, you know, there's so many areas that Aoka Lee has affected our campus here, and she's just such a great representative in every area. She's already a licensed therapist and seen clients, and has been, you know, Scholar Athlete of the Year in the Big 12. When you put it in the basketball perspective, I mean, when we bring families on campus, when we do that, she's as good of talking about her love of Manhattan and Kansas State, and she's as good at passing the baton to the newcomers, the freshmen coming in, and players looking to come to Kansas State. So, in building around her, obviously, the obvious thing is she's an anchor at both ends of the floor. So you can build your scheme around her. At the defensive end, you can pressure more, because if they get past that pressure, they got to deal with her. You can do some things, ball screen coverage differently. From an offensive standpoint, she's a pretty good one to end offense with. So, you know that you've got somebody that draws a lot of gravity to her, and you can build some things off of that. Now, I think one of the weaknesses that we had a year ago that we've addressed in the offseason is let's use that gravity to increase our scoring on the perimeter, and let's see how we can use that even better. And I think we saw last night, Taryn Sides have a big night shooting the basketball. Tamira Poindexter had a big night shooting the basketball. So I think that's hopefully an area that we've improved.
Tamira Poindexter is new to this year's roster and had an impressive debut in the exhibition game against Washburn. Perfect from the field, 14 points. Obviously had a terrific career prior to coming out to Manhattan. What elements are you hoping that she brings to this year's team?
Oh, she brings that 3-level score that we can isolate some. in the middle of the floor, isolate her some in the post, but also stretch her to the 3 line. She made 85 threes a year ago. She's a player that I think still is just scratching the surface. I thought she played well last night, but I did think that she was pretty nervous. I think her first time on the floor in Bramlage, she had some nerves to her. She looked a little hesitant early in the game. So that's what these exhibition games are for, to just not only for your new players, but your veterans to get their feet wet again and get the season going. But she certainly can score the basketball, and it's an area that we felt like we needed to improve.
Every team has a different personality. Last year, your team's personality was defined in great detail by Gabby Gregory and what she brought to the team as a player, certainly, but also as an emotional leader, one of the leaders of your team. What do you see as the personality of this team? How have you seen them gel together as they prepare to take on this challenge, not only of going farther in the NCAA tournament, making more of this season, but also doing it maybe with more of a target on their backs than they've had in past years, being the preseason pick to win the Big 12?
Yeah, it's interesting. You're absolutely right. Every season, every team kind of takes on their own character, identity. Aoka Lee has always been kind of the voice of reason for our team and such a great leader. This team has they've been a team that doesn't have one dominating personality, and they have 100% been a team that in practice has been strong together. They've been pretty connected. I think Zy Walker has kind of taken over kind of that Gabby swagger role. Zy's a fiery player, but we've got a lot of players that play with a quiet confidence. We don't have a lot of players that beat their chest, look at me, and we just kind of go about our business and come to practice every day and work pretty hard. And I've liked that about them, but I will say that Gabby had that swagger that she thought every shot was going in, and that can become infectious. And I hope that we get some of that from her. I hope Poindexter shows that as we progress through the season, because you need that kind of swagger when you get into the tough games.
The Kansas State Wildcat women's basketball team opens the regular season. Jeff, you were coming
to say this.
Team opens the regular season Monday at 11 a.m. at Bramlage Coliseum when they take on Green Bay. Jeff Mittie is the head coach, and he joins us here on 580 Sports Talk. Jeff, a pleasure getting to speak with you, and we sure look forward to tracking your team's progress throughout this season. Excited for K-State women's hoops this year. Thanks for taking the time.
Hey, thanks, Dan. Appreciate it.
That was Dan catching up with Kansas State Wildcats women's basketball head coach Jeff Mittie. Sorry about those technical difficulties at the end. But, it was a great interview. Dan caught up with him after the exhibition against Washburn. Again, they're taking on Green Bay on Monday, 11 a.m. We'll have the coverage for you coming from the Kansas State Sports Network beginning at 10:30 with tip-off at 11 a.m. right here on 580 WIBW. When we come back, we'll wrap up. We'll give my final thoughts on the NFL Week 9 slate as we get into that, as we're rounding third and heading for home on this edition of 580 Sports Talk right here on 580 WIBW FM 104.9. Welcome back to this edition of 580 Sports Talk here. Spencer DuPuy with you. It is the youngest in command movement for your Friday, November 1st, 2024. We're rounding third, heading for home, the penultimate segment of today's edition of 580 Sports Talk. As we get you going on, get you ready for 580 Preps football playoff game tonight, as it's 5A playoffs as Seaman hosts Topeka West. That'll coverage coming at 6 o'clock with Coaches Club, and 6:30 out to the stadium with the pregame coverage, and then 7 p.m. is the kickoff. But got some time to give some final football weekend thoughts. We'll start first in the NFL, obviously looking back at last night's 21-13 win for the Jets over the Texans. Texans are an odd team to look at, and it kind of starts with CJ Stroud not living up to the hype necessarily that you expect him to be right now. I mean, last night he was 11 for 30 for 191 yards. He was sacked 8 times. The offensive line didn't do him a lick of help. 121 of those 191 yards, though, came on 6 catches for Tank Dell. Robert Woods had 2 catches for 44. Dalton Schultz, the tight end, had 3 catches for 21. That was all the receivers that actually caught balls last night. Quite a few drops for them. But Joe Mixon being Joe Mixon, 24 carries, 106 yards, and a score. Then you look to the Jets side of things. It was 7-0 was the score at halftime. Houston on top, that Joe Mixon touchdown. But they could only muster 6 points in the second half, and it was 3 second-half touchdowns for Aaron Rodgers, 22 of 32, 211 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was sacked twice. Breece Hall ran the ball 15 times for 74 yards. I think everyone's going to remember this one for Malachi Corley dropping the ball at the 1-yard line. But Devontae Adams looked like the Devontae Adams of old. He had 7 catches, 91 yards, and a score. Garrett Wilson played out of his mind, 9 catches, 90 yards, 2 touchdowns, including an amazing catch, highlight reel catch. Probably never see a catch like that again. That was great. That was just a great catch all around. But 21-13, the Jets get their 3rd win of the season. Texans fall for the 3rd time this season. CJ Stroud not looking like CJ Stroud as expected. Let's look at the 12 p.m. Central slate games on Sunday. Commanders at Giants. Commanders favored by by 4. Jaden Daniels looked really healthy last week, or a lot healthier than anticipated. Brian Robinson can play. I think that's a huge advantage for them. But the Commanders 6-2, Giants 2-6. Giants are just a broken squad. I don't know how else to say it. Dable's getting fired after this year. They are 0-4 at home. That's a wild thought. Commanders are 2-2 on the road, as they are 4-0 at home. The other 12 p.m. The next game at noon. Cowboys at Falcons. Falcons favored by 3.5. Falcons are going to roll in this one. The Cowboys are 3-4, but the Cowboys just aren't good. Too many off the field questions. Too many distractions for this team this year. We'll move to the Bills Dolphins. Could be a good game. Bills favored by 6. I wouldn't take that line. I just think this game could be closer if things click for everybody. Dolphins 2-5. Obviously, Tua getting concussed, not what they wanted to have to their season. Bills 6-2. It's gonna be a test for Josh Allen and the Bills. Like, what are they legit in there? It's a divisional game, so are they legit in the division? Can they go to 7-2? Be something to see. Bengals Raiders. Bengals hosting the Raiders. Cincinnati favored by 7 in this one. I took this earlier. I took Cincinnati over the Raiders. Raiders are broken. They're garbage. Other noon game on CBS. The first games: Commanders, Giants, Cowboys, Falcons, and Raiders, Bengals. It's all on Fox. The Dolphins, Bills game, a CBS game. CBS game, Chargers, Browns, just atrocious game. Chargers favored by 1.5 in this one. I don't know why the line is like that. I guess because the Browns won last week. That could potentially be why. We'll see, though. Other noon slate, a couple more noon games. Saints at Panthers. That's a loser leaves town game. The Saints favored by 7.5 on CBS. And then the CBS game of the week, or at least with Jim Nance on the call, Broncos at Ravens. We talked about this earlier. Ravens favored by 9.5. That's interesting. The Broncos are 5-3. I want to see they're 3-1 on the road. Also, very good road record for the Broncos, as they're just 2-3 at home, or 2-2 at home. Then the later slate games: Jaguars, Eagles. Eagles going to run away with this one, I think. I don't know. Trevor Lawrence has some good time. Like, he's got flashes. I don't know. I think the Eagles are going to run away with this. I want the Jaguars to win, so the Commanders' lead in the division can be up there. Bears at Cardinals. We had this as that was our frisky game of the week. Also could have been a loser leaves town. I think the Cardinals handle the Bears. I just think the Bears are overhyped this year, especially after what their defense did at the end of the game last week against the Commanders. Game of the week, Lions, Packers. Excited for that one. I know Brendan's going to be on pins and needles watching it. I do think Detroit's unstoppable, and they're going to win that game. Loser leave town, Rams, Seahawks. I think the Rams are going to win. We talked about that on earlier on 580 Sports Talk. And then the Sunday night football matchup, that is Colts at Vikings. Vikings favored by 5 in this one. I don't think it's that close, unless Joe Flacco comes in. I don't. Unless Joe Flacco has a heck of a game, I think the Vikings are just unstoppable this year. Darnold's resurging his career. I mean, he's already got over 1,600 yards passing, 14 touchdowns, 5 picks. Aaron Jones, 104 carries, 501 yards on the season. Well, the best receiver in the NFL, Justin Jefferson, he's already got 41 catches, 646 yards. He's got 5 of those 14 touchdowns. I expect at least one more coming this weekend. That's that slate of games. Kansas State taking on Houston tomorrow. That's a 2:30 kick on Fox. I was seeing in the comments earlier, I believe it'll be rainy there in Houston, so that could play a factor into keeping things on the ground with DJ Giddens. Give him more touches, obviously. They're trying to get in the home stretch to their season, home stretch before their bye. This is the last game before their bye. We had Tim Fitzgerald, GoPowerCat.com, on the show on Wednesday, and he talked about, like, he could kind of see that they were getting tired in the Sunflower Showdown. So I think they roll over Houston. Houston is just not a good team, obviously, in the Big 12. Kansas off, trying to recharge and push forward to potentially, if they can win out, which is going to be highly doubtful, get a bowl bid this season. Yeah, that's where we are in the NFL and college football realm here. We're going to step aside for our final break. When we come back, we'll wrap things up as we're headed for home. About to slide into home with the final word here on 580 Sports Talk, coming up next. Final word time here on 580 Sports Talk. Playoff high school football action begins tonight in the state of Kansas. 5A action coming to you live from Seaman tonight as they host Topeka West. We'll have the call for you coming up here just very shortly. That is coming up soon as Dan Lucero, Greg Akagi, and I will have the call tonight. I'll be on the sidelines. And it'll be great first round of NFL or high school football action here in Kansas. That'll do it for Brennan Dorzinski, Dan Lucero. I'm Spencer Dupuis saying have a great rest of your weekend, everyone.
Learn more about the presidential election